I woke up very early for the Nintendo Switch this morning, watched the whole thing, got it in my system, and then went back to sleep. Let's talk about the Nintendo Switch 2, especially, the pricing and all that stuff. I don't want to focus too much on the pricing, but we'll definitely talk about that. We'll definitely talk about, some of the cool stuff that we were able to see in this direct. It was 1 hour long. I think right off the bat, I like where they're going. Finally, we're going to have some sort of chat system, some sort of chat functionality when it comes to the Switch that is made easy. I want to be able to just message my friends that I see online. With the Switch, you just see your friends and you're like, all right, cool. I can see what they're playing, but that's pretty much it. I do hope that they're going to go even further with certain things, maybe like your profile, maybe they add trophies and achievements. We'll have to wait and see. But Donkey Kong was announced. We have Mario Kart World, which looked awesome. I think that was like the selling point for me when it came to games, is a Mario Kart game that's open world. You can go anywhere. That's kind of cool. Playing with like 28 other people. That really has me excited. They showed off the console and all that stuff. There's a lot of things that I like. They showed off a lot of third-party games like Cyberpunk. You got Elden Ring coming to it. You got the new game Duskbloods. We'll get into that later and how I'm torn. And man, let's talk about the price real quick, just because I think $80 digital and $90 physical if you even want to call it that at this point, because I feel like what they're doing here is just like it's still in a way digital. They're selling you the box and they're selling you a key, and we've seen that with some games. We've seen that with collector's editions, and to me that doesn't cut it, man. That's not a real physical copy in my opinion. And $80 digital is a lot. That's a tall order, man. The first thing that came to mind was, because whoever's watching this, you most likely and me, we're kind of the hardcore diehards out there when it comes to this stuff. We buy this, we consume it, we're gamers. I was thinking about mom and dad buying a Nintendo Switch 2 game for their kid and paying $80 to $90. How's that gonna play out? And I'm already seeing the argument of like, oh, just say you're broke. That one, that's so lame to me. And two, that is the weakest argument. That is like something a teenager says who doesn't have anything better to say, who doesn't understand where all this is taking us and going. I think $80 and $90 is a lot of money for a video game, especially in my opinion, a Nintendo console where it's primarily targeted for kids. Nintendo to me has always been this console where if you're a kid growing up, this should be your first console. You should enjoy these things, and it should be easy to get your hands on some of these games and enjoy some of these things. And it just seems a little predatory when you're asking for that much money for a Nintendo game. That I've bought quite a few Nintendo Switch games, and none of those games even feel like they would be $70, $80, $90. They feel like $50, $60 at most, just because of the content that is packed in there. And it's Nintendo, man. Like, they're not going after the 4K and 60 and all that stuff. With the Switch 2, they are, and maybe there's an argument as to why they're increasing the games, because the games are going to look better and all this stuff. But dude, I think that's a lot of money, not to mention what door this opens up for the rest of the industry, right? We thought GTA 6 was going to be the one. We thought GTA 6 was going to be the one that opens that door, but it looks like Nintendo beat GTA to the finish line here when it comes to selling games, much more than they are now. And it's going to be really, really interesting to see where Rockstar takes GTA 6. If Nintendo games are $80-$90, what is GTA 6 is going to look like? Ah, man, the video game industry and the video game hobby and all of this stuff, it's at an interesting time, man. And on one hand, I'll say like 2025 is like one of the best years in gaming. amazing. And, 2023 was absolutely amazing. On one hand, you have all of these good things, all these games, Doom. We got freaking GTA 6, supposedly. We have, all these other games that I'm so excited to play, right? And then on the other hand, it's like, it's almost like the industry takes 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards. I think there's going to be a crash. It's almost inevitable at this point. But going back to the Switch 2, man, I think aside from the price, I was legit excited for this. I was excited to watch this direct. They showed off a lot of cool things, GameCube games coming back, a lot of third-party support, which is really cool. They showed off Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom being kind of this upgraded, package for the Switch 2 that is supposed to run better and look better. And those 2 games are the reason why I bought a Switch. Breath of the Wild was the reason. And then Tears of the Kingdom came out, and I was, that game is like one of my favorite games of all time. Like, no joke. It took Breath of the Wild and just made it even better. So I think overall, it's a step up from the Switch 1 that I still have, my day one. I think, even the $450 price point, I think it's a little bit too much, but I think that's a little bit more forgiving. It's really the price of the games coming out that is gonna be really interesting. And I would love to sit here and say, dude, vote with your wallets, but we've seen time and time again how that works out. You're gonna see a lot of people flock to this stuff. They're gonna buy it, and people are not gonna vote for their wallets because there's die-hard, hardcore, Nintendo fans out there that will defend not only these prices, but all of what Nintendo does. And by the way, I think if you're defending these prices without having, a good argument, I think you're lame. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Especially if your argument is, oh, just tell me you're broke, because I've seen that all over Twitter this morning. The good old just say you're broke, man argument that has no value, that is so weak when it comes to arguing about games being too expensive, this and that. Anyways, I don't want to ramble too much in this video, but the Switch 2 1 hour direct, honestly, I was really, really excited for this, man. I woke up at 6 a.m. this morning. I'm on vacation, woke up, watched it. I walked away from the presentation really, really happy. Like, I was like, dude, hell yeah. And then I get online and I'm like, a lot of us were like, wait a minute, they never even talked about the price because, they probably didn't want to taint the direct with prices. They wanted to talk about that later. And sure enough, Jeff Keighley was the first tweet that I see, and he tweets out, Mario Kart World, and it's going to be $80 digital. And I was like, wait, $80 digital? So, and then everything just kind of went downhill from there. People spoke, they gave their 2 cents, and it seems like the majority of people are not happy about these prices. One more thing before I go, I want to talk about FromSoft and the new game that was released or shown off, the Dusk Bloods. Here's the thing, man. When I first saw this trailer, my first impressions was like, this looks like more Elden Ring. Forgive me if I'm gonna go a little too hard on this. I will say this, I'm a huge FromSoft fan. I played all of the Souls games. I've beat all of them. As much as I loved Elden Ring, I still think Bloodborne, Sekiro, Dark Souls 3, those to me were a little bit more magical, were a little bit more unique. I enjoyed those worlds just a little bit more than I did with Elden Ring. I love Elden Ring and I love the open world and I love the ambition, but I really think the smaller scope FromSoft games just hit me personally. I remember when those last 3 games that I just mentioned came out, they were all unique. They were all significant in their own way. And then I feel like since Elden Ring, FromSoftware, I feel like has been kind of milking the Elden Ring formula a little bit. It seems like they're reusing a lot of assets. It just feels like they're really riding on Elden Ring hard, right? We're gonna get Night Rain. Now we're gonna get the Dusk Bloods, and they all kind of feel like Elden Ring. I don't know. I'm gonna have to wait and see. I want to keep my expectations in check for this one. I don't want to get too crazy for it. A lot of people are saying that it looks like Bloodborne 2, which does in some cases, but then in other cases, there's a couple of shots that look like it's just more Elden Ring. I don't know. And the fact that it's not going to be anywhere else except the Switch 2, that's kind of lame. We'll have to wait and see, man. I should be excited for the Duskbloods. I'm a huge FromSoft fan, but after Night Rain and the emphasis for multiplayer in Souls games, I don't know, man. I feel like my excitement has dwindled down just a little bit for FromSoft games. I like the more, single player approach, but if you want to play with your friends, if you want to tackle a boss together, you can. But I do like the fact that I've been able to fall in love with FromSoft games by just playing by myself for the majority of them and calling in a friend to take down bosses here and there, and then they go and I continue. Like, I'm not a big fan of the emphasis of like just playing online a multiplayer focused Souls game, if that makes sense. But those are my thoughts, man. Let me know what you think about that. And that's pretty much my opinion when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2. I think some of the decisions that were made today are definitely going to impact the industry, are going to be very interesting to see where we go from here. I don't know if I'm going to pick this up, although I did say a lot of things about the PS5 Pro and then I ended up getting it. So if you want to know anything about me, sometimes I complain and then I get it anyways, because at the end of the day, man, I'm a big gamer. I've been doing this for too long. I love this stuff. I'm very passionate about this stuff. So we'll have to wait and see. Lots of mixed messaging here today, especially after the direct, where we got prices and all that stuff. But let me know what you think. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. Hit that like button if you liked it and consider subscribing to the channel. And if you are, man, I appreciate you. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take it easy and peace.